Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
Hello viewers, thank you very much for the overwhelming response to the program Mind Watch. Smoking is injurious to health. So goes the saying on all cigarette packs and actually is a warning on all tobacco products. Still, people brazenly choose to ignore this warning. Tobacco is a killer. Tobacco is a slow poison. It is the biggest affliction of our times. It is perhaps the worst form of all addictions. Still, people choose to brazenly ignore this and quote diseases and eventually premature death. What makes people take this in its various forms, its use, abuse and addiction, whether in the form of smoking a cigarette, bidi or hookah, or eating it in pan or pan masala.
Tobacco use in its various forms has existed since centuries. For some, it is a pleasant diversion. To others, it is a die-hard habit, a ritual to be performed, and to some others, it provides a macho image. Little do they realize that it contains a highly toxic substance, nicotine, which acts on the body as a slow poison. Yet, millions puff away blissfully unaware of its dangers.
Do you know somebody who uses tobacco, or do you yourself use it? Does somebody close to you use tobacco, or do you yourself smoke? Whatever the reasons, very few people enjoy their first experience, but subsequently it becomes a part of their daily routine. Some people use tobacco to feel up and awake early in the morning. Others use it for a proper bowel movement. Some use it to feel better after a pleasant meal. Others use it to concentrate better. Some people utilize tobacco, especially in the form of smoking, to feel that they are in a situation which is pleasant for them whenever they are confronted with any stressful situation. Whatever the reasons, most people get addicted to tobacco in one form or another without actually realizing it, and it becomes an integral part of their life. And that is so because of some of the popular myths that most people hold about tobacco.
Tobacco is relaxing.
Actually, it slows down the nervous system.
Occasional tobacco use is not addictive.
Ultimately, it leads to increased dependence.
Tobacco makes you alert and creative.
But this is only a superficial phase.
Smoking a few cigarettes is not harmful.
Even a single cigarette or bidi impairs bodily functions.
Filtered cigarettes are less harmful.
The only safe cigarette is an unlit one.
Smoking harms the smoker only.
But it causes as much harm to those around.
To stop tobacco use is difficult.
No, it is easy to quit with motivated, planned effort.
Well, the problem of tobacco in India is a massive problem, but people do not realize it, the magnitude of it. It is just perceived as some weed that people chew and as a pastime.
And various research studies, they have pointed out that about 30 to 35% of the population 10 years and above have been using or they are addicted to tobacco use, whether in the form of chewing or snuffing or smoking.
One WHO estimate says that about 35 to 40% of our population uses tobacco in one form or another. Chewing tobacco is quite common, and of course cigarette smoking, bidi smoking is, and even hookah smoking.
We find that unlike in West, where tobacco is predominantly smoked, in our country it is chewed or it is taken orally in various forms. We find that jarda bidi, gutka, kheni, etc. are the popular names by which it is known and chewed. Sometimes, especially in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, we find that tobacco paste is used and we call that they are having gul. Another form of tobacco which is quite prevalent is the powder form, which is inhaled or it is taken by nose. We call it tobacco snuffing.
It was not a problem a few centuries back. In fact, tobacco was introduced in this country during the reign of Akbar the Great by the Portuguese. And since then, tobacco has established itself so deep-rootedly in every aspect of a society.
The most obvious question is, why do people use tobacco? Most people either know about the hazardous effects or subsequently come to know about it, but still continue.
I've been smoking since a long time. I started with friends and now I can't leave it. I've been smoking since my school days, but now I've decided that I should completely give it up. I started with friends in college. Once I've started, I can't leave it. I don't smoke much, only 5-6 cigarettes a day.
I have been smoking since college times. I started in the second year of college. It was because my colleagues, my friends used to smoke.
Most youth take up to tobacco or smoking as a status symbol. They tend to think that those who smoke in the college, they get more important. Secondly, they also tend to start smoking as a fashion. Third important cause is day-to-day tensions, frustrations, and because of those adolescent psychological problems, they tend to take up to smoking.
Commonly in adolescent urban youth, the reasons for beginning cigarette use are curiosity, pressure from the friends and the classmates or the peers, the common feeling of being a man or the macho image associated with cigarette smoking, possibly to some extent the effect of the advertising in the print media and the television and the films.
And a neglected part, I think, is if father or other seniors in family are smoking, younger one or adolescent also will tend to think that this is something important and they also pick up such an habit.
The reasons for continued use of tobacco as against the initiating factors are very, very different. In what can be called the maintaining factors, the reasons are the effect on the mind and the body that some initial use of the person has already had. That is to say, that with some repetitive use over a few months or years, the person's nervous system does get habituated or does get adapted to the use of tobacco.
I smoke to feel relaxed whenever I am tense, but now only I have realized its dangerous effects. Some people just can't leave it. Once you are sitting in a group, it starts off. One of us starts and then it goes on. Smoking is neither useful nor is it harmful.
Tobacco use not only harms the person physically, but also drains away meager financial resources of many.
I spend at least 10 rupees a day. Since I have a shop, I don't feel it. If I would have been in a job, I would have definitely realized the expense and would have tried to give it up. But it is difficult to give up.
Initially I started because it gives some dizziness and some sort of the feeling of another world. But after you become habitual, you don't get that dizziness in you. So it's not good, I think, basically for health. That's why I'm trying to give it away. And secondly, it's too costly for us. It gets too much of money I got for my pocket money I just to spend on these cigarettes. Although I'm working, but still, you know, the money that goes from your pocket after all matters to you.
Whatever the reason, tobacco use or smoking becomes an inevitable part of a person's daily life. It becomes a habit and a person cannot get rid of this habit.
in what can be called classical addiction, or more technically referred to as dependence syndrome. The person really continues to use tobacco or cigarettes more for the behavioral cues also.
Apart from physical dependence, at a psychological level also, person tends to get conditioned to it, and then at a specific time they may develop a mental urge, a psychological urge.
The very sight and sound of a match against being lit against a matchbox, the very act of holding a cigarette between two fingers, the very act of putting a cigarette or any such object in one's mouth, these behavioral cues also provide some amount of relief.
If they see that sort of a scene, somebody else smoking, then also internally urge develops and person may start smoking. So gradually it develops a fixed conditioning.
Smoking, like drinking, is seen as a socially acceptable behavior. People take to smoking under peer pressure, or out of curiosity, or simply because it may be a cheap diversion. But eventually it also paves the way for graduating into abuse of more dangerous drugs.
I started perhaps with 13, 14 years with smoking. There was no special reason, it was more society and just entertainment. And with 17 or 18 years, we was some friends together, and it was also naturally to take cannabis.
In spite of the alarming statistics about tobacco use, people choose to turn a deaf ear towards it. People choose to ignore the statutory warning, however small that print may be, which is there on each cigarette case.
Warning is there, but what to do? I can't leave it.
I don't read the warning nowadays, because when you become habitual, you don't read the warnings and all that. You just go for the brand and you smoking.
Over the years, hundreds and thousands of studies, not only in India, but abroad, also have conclusively proved that tobacco has very far-reaching damaging effects on the body.
Most of the people simply think that tobacco is going to cause them cough or some indigestion. But these days we find people come with cardiac problems, and these patients definitely they are not aware of these symptoms that they relate to their cardiac problems. They probably attribute it to other causes.
While I was smoking a cigarette, I got a heart attack. I was immediately brought home.
It has been estimated that smokers, even chewing tobacco, leads to 3 to 4 times increased frequency of heart attack in the people who are prone to it on other scores. That means that supposing the person has increased tendency for heart attack due to heredity, high cholesterol or hypertension, and if he smokes, then his likelihood of getting heart attack increases by about 5 to 6 times.
Tobacco is harmful in whatever way it is used. If it is used in the form of a chewing tobacco, whether it is used by itself in the pan or as pan masala, or if it is used as a toothpaste, or else if it is used in the smoking form, whether hookah, bidi or cigarette, all of them have short-term and long-term harmful consequences.
The use of tobacco by the various roots causes damage to the root through which it is used. Say for example, smoking, it causes damage to the lungs, various forms of diseases like chronic bronchitis, asthma, and even cancer has been reported with the use of tobacco smoking.
Tobacco is a major cause of cancer in our country. Both the chewing of tobacco and smoking, either in form of bidi or cigarettes. In men, 1/3 the cancers are related to tobacco abuse. The cancers of the mouth and throat, the voice box, of the food pipe and the lungs, all of them are related to our smoking and chewing habits.
Between 8 to 10 lakhs of people die of tobacco-related diseases every year in this country. And I would say this is one of the highest tobacco mortality anywhere in the world.
In the recent past, there has been certain special sections of the population like youth and women who have taken to tobacco and smoking in a big way. Actually, the advertising in certain cases is targeted at this population. If this population did not use tobacco in the past, it was due to certain social taboos. And now, with these social taboos slowly disappearing, these have joined the rank of those who use tobacco.
You see, when a woman takes tobacco, because of her basic physiological and biological functions that she performs, the tobacco places an added hazard to her health. It has been conclusively proved by the ICMR and TFI studies that tobacco causes low birth weights, and especially in a country like India, where as such the women give below average birth weight babies. Tobacco, in fact, tobacco uses during the pregnancy causes at least from 50 to 300 grams reduction in birth weight, which can be very, very hazardous for the child.
Besides other physical problems, women who use tobacco are also at certain special risks. They may be having menstrual difficulties, especially amenorrhea. They may not be able to conceive. There may be threatened or actual abortions, and even if they do conceive, the pregnancy may have difficulties. Even if they do give birth, the child has certain complications. The child has low birth weight, the child may not be able to thrive very well, has serious lung and other infections, and low intelligence quotient. Here is a lady who has problems due to her smoking and who doesn't want her identity revealed.
I've been smoking since my college days. Earlier there weren't any problems. But recently I've been losing a lot of weight. I've had more problems after marriage. Doctors have repeatedly told me and warned me because my child may also have problems.
Doctor പറഞ്ഞത് ഇത് ഭാവിയിൽ കണ്ടിന്യൂ ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ എൻ്റെ കുഞ്ഞിനും പ്രോബ്ലം ഉണ്ടാകും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ പല പ്രോബ്ലങ്ങൾക്കും ഇത് വഴിതെളിക്കുമെന്നാണ് ഡോക്ടർ പറഞ്ഞത്.
Smoking is not a smoker's right if it is somebody else's liability. Secondhand smoking or passive smoking causes irritation of the eyes, nose, throat, headache and nausea. In the long run, in a person who is passively smoking the smoke, it causes bronchitis, cancer, heart diseases and lung diseases. You may not realize that the smoke you throw out into the atmosphere may be causing damage to your loved ones.
I know it's a bad habit, but once it develops, you have to smoke. The smoke is harmful and does affect others around. It does increase the chances of disease.
People really seriously looking at it from a different perspective altogether. First of all, now it has been recognized, even from the government agencies. Now the tobacco, especially the smoking, has been banned in many places, in public transports, in restaurants, in government official buildings, in institutional areas.
If you can learn how to smoke, you can unlearn it. You can learn how not to smoke. As somebody has said, cancer cures smoking. But before one reaches that stage, it is important to stop before long-term or irreversible physical damage has taken place.
In the West, they have tried various methods, putting a patches, giving them a nicotine-free cigarettes, giving them filtered cigarettes, but we know by now that this is not really making a dent into the major addiction problem.
I will stop it definitely. I've already reduced it. I will give it up.
Earlier I used to smoke 8 to 10 cigarettes a day, but now I am smoking just 3. I'm trying to give it, I'm trying to just leave it.
I've already spent all my life, so why leave it now? Children also say, if you have to smoke, smoke. Some people can leave it, others can't.
I tried smoking every day, say half or 2 days not to smoke, but it was just a suppression. And after some days or after some weeks, I started again.
psychosocial aspects are very, very important. If environment at home is peaceful, supportive, person will be able to get rid of this unhealthy habit very easily.
5.5 years I had a very good experience with meditation. I heard about, before I had also the knowledge that it's not good for the body to smoke. But I had not enough power or determination really to put it into practice.
The tension at workplace and other problems are also significant, and from my experience of dealing with patients, I think relaxation techniques can be quite useful.
Once a decision to give up tobacco has been made, stick to it. Don't act like the person who says, giving up tobacco is so easy. I have done it plenty of times. Actually, most people relapse after giving up tobacco because they give in to that temptation of one last time. Important thing is to make a plan for long term, starting with each day how you are not going to have tobacco. And once you have made that decision, stick to it, fight the problem, take the support of friends and family so that you can give it up.
Here are a few tips to give up tobacco. Postpone using tobacco. Set a no smoking period every day. Smoke only at fixed intervals. Fix your daily quota. Do not give in immediately to your urge. Keep your tobacco paraphernalia out of sight. Shift to a brand you do not like. Take fewer drags on each cigarette. Use a substitute like chewing gum, elaichi, etc. When tense, take a deep breath and relax. Set a target date to quit tobacco use.
All the tobacco users have the skills that are required to be able to stop it right now. Unless you make that choice, the problem in the future is not going to be tobacco. The problem is going to be staying alive. In the choice between health and tobacco, choose health.
Silent in your tears, wasted in your years. When you cry alone. Recourse to fantasy, living with insanity. Another night beside the phone. Watch your mind feel the pain. Seek your meaning by my watch. Against the war within, in the bin, curl up with your memories, togetherness and harmony. Watch your mind